The 2024 Social Security cost of living increase is not going to be as substantial as last year, 8.7%, or the year before that, 5.9%. But it will make a difference for 71 million people receiving those benefits. Let's, in this video, look at the details. I want to begin this discussion about COLAs by looking first off at the reason for COLAs. And in order to understand the reason, we have to go back to really when Social Security began, which legislatively was approved in 1935. Within a year after that or so, they began to collect taxes for Social Security, those payroll deductions. And the very first check then would be issued in 1940, actually January of 1940, to a lady who lived in Vermont. She was actually a retired legal secretary, and she had paid into the Social Security system at that time for 3 years. Her first check was $22.54. That was January 1940. And they say over a lifetime, she collected a little over $22,000 in Social Security benefits. But from the beginning of that first check, 1940, up until 1975, what happened is the only way that someone could get an increase in that check was if the Congress would approve it, and that was it. And they realized that that was not really the best system to follow, and so beginning in 1975, they began to have cost of living adjustments. And so this is a way to make sure that people's Social Security benefits were not eroded by inflation. They wanted people to be able to keep up with the rate of inflation. So that's what began the whole cost of living adjustments. So that's the reason for COLAs. Secondly, what I want to talk about is actually the formula that's used to determine cost of living adjustments. Now, there are a variety of consumer price indexes, a variety of indexes that are tracked for inflation to make sure that when people need adjustments to their income, it'll be based upon a formula. And so the formula that's used for Social Security increases is the index that's called Consumer Price Index W, which is for urban wage earners and clerical workers, represents about 30% of the population. And so what happens from year to year, and what we'll do is we'll look at the year right now, 2022 to 2023, will be the number they'll be looking at to determine that cost of living adjustment that's coming up soon. And so what they do, they look at the third quarter each of these years, and they make a comparison. So this is going to be July, August, and September. And so they're looking at the cost of a basket of goods and services. Now within this basket, what they look at first, they are tracking food, they're tracking housing, they're tracking apparel, they are tracking transportation cost, gas, things like that. They are tracking education expenses, recreation expenses, and then two other items, medical, as well as miscellaneous, and this would be insurance and different things. But those are the kind of the major groups that are tracked, and then they have subgroups. They say there's about 200 things they actually track from year to year. And so they're looking at the third quarter. So this is going to be July, August, and September, and they're going to compare that to what those numbers were, that index was in 2022, to those same cost in goods and services, and how much did those cost of goods and services increase from the third quarter 22 to the third quarter 23. And then they're going to make a determination between those two numbers, and then there's a formula that's going to be applied. I'll show you what that is in the next slide. But I just want to make sure you understand it's the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners, clerical workers. Now, there's been some debate upon, is this really the right indexes to be used? Some actually believe we ought to be using the CPI-W, which is elderly, which is a different bucket of cost in goods and services. And I've done some research on this, and there is a slight difference, but it definitely has not made a huge impact regardless of the index that's used. But right now, this is the one that we are using, and so we'll be looking at this in July, August, and September to know exactly what that cost of living adjustment is going to be. Let's go to the next slide and look at those details. Hey, if you found this video helpful and if you want to see more Medicare information just like it, then go below, right below the video, and you can give us a thumbs up as well as subscribe to our channel. And every time I put a new video, which is about 2 every week, you'll be notified of that video, and others just like you who need this vital information will get it as well. Okay, so here's the exact numbers that were tracked. Now remember, when we took our cost of living adjustment into 2023, we actually had a 8 0.7% increase. From 21 to 22, which then of course gave us that increase. And so we had that 8.7. The year before that was actually 5.9%. All right. So I want to show you how they came up with this 8.7. Now we don't know for sure what 2024 is going to be because we're not yet through the month of September of 2023. But let's look at this real quickly. So again, they're looking at the third quarter, July, August, and September, and they take the totals of that consumer price index. And that's what you're looking at here, the total sum of those numbers. Now, this index actually began to be collecting data back in the years of 1982 to 1984. So that's our baseline, which is right at 100, okay? And so this has been now almost 40 years since they've been tracking the cost of these goods and services. And so when you're looking at a number, remember the baseline goes back 40 years, and so it would have been 100 then. So in 2021, they're saying in July, August, September, we had these numbers. They give us the total, and then they take that total in Q3, third quarter, and divide it by 3, and that gives us this monthly CPI average. All right, and so they call this the baseline because what they're going to do is they're going to compare 21 to 22 baseline to determine what the increase would be, and of course that was 8.7%. So in 2022, those are the precise numbers, and so here's what they did to come up with that. They take this average for the quarter, and they subtract this number over from here, and so they take this minus that, and that gives us a number, and they take that, whatever that number is, and divide it into that baseline year, and that's what resulted in the 8.7% increase. So let me say it again. So this minus that gave us a number. It was 23 something divided by that baseline, and the difference is 8.7%. So that's why your check went from 22 to 23, went up that 8.7%. And so as we talk about moving into the 2024 Social Security year, we still don't have all the information we need to know exactly what it's going to be. There's some projections. We'll talk about that in the next slide. But we do have precise numbers now for inflation. Consumer Price Index W for July came in at 299.899. You can see as far as getting an increase, that number is encouraging because it's higher. Shows there's been some inflation. We get into August. Again, this number just came out today. Today's September 13th, 2023. They just published the number. It's 301. Again, it's higher. So again, that's why we're saying it's moving in a direction of some type of a cost of living adjustment. Now, what we don't know yet is what our September number is going to be. And that number will not come out until 10/12/2023. So as I share these numbers with you, these are still projections because we don't have the final number yet. It is certainly trending in this direction, so we expect an increase. And so when we have that number, they're going to give us that total, divide that by 3, and then that's going to give us our baseline for 2023 third quarter. So what will they do? They will take that baseline, they will subtract this baseline here, and of course it's going to be a higher amount, and they're going to take that difference divided by the 2022 baseline because we're looking at the difference, and then whatever that number ends up being, that is going to be our cost of living adjustment. Just one more quick time. So we'll take our third quarter baseline, we will subtract it from this number here. That difference then will be divided by last year's baseline to give us our cost of living adjustment. Okay, so let me just show you what some are saying that amount will be. Hey, if you come to a place where you know you're going to have to make some Medicare decisions pretty soon, the best way to do that is to click up here in this right-hand corner, and you'll have an opportunity to be able to book a call with one of our Medicare guides. All the guides around here I have personally trained, and they truly are professional. They'll answer your questions, and they'll show you different Medicare options to make sure that you're confident in the decision that you make. Now, again, I want to emphasize these are simply projections. As you saw from the last slide, we're not going to know for about a month to be precise, but we can see the last 2 months and kind of how the month is trending so far. All right, so what we're going to look at is there's, of course, a variety of ways in which people take benefits. The majority actually take retirement benefits. They've retired, and now they're taking their what's called their full retirement age benefit. And so right now, the average retirement check is $1,790. Now, I know there's people getting more and getting less. Some people today are getting as high as $3,400. But again, this is just the average. And so what they're anticipating is that we're going to get around a 3 or a 3.2% increase. So that's what they're anticipating the COLA to be as we, people get their checks in January. And so 3 to 3.2%. So that means that's going to go up about $57 on a monthly basis. And obviously, not a whole lot, but again, every little bit is going to help. They're saying right now the average person on disability is going to get an increase of around $45 in their check. This would be a couple getting a retirement benefit as well as a spousal benefit. They're going to see their total amount coming into their household going up about $90. A widow with this kind of increase is going to see her check go up around the $50 range. And if she's still raising children, she's going to see that income go up $105. All right. Now, in addition to the cost of living adjustments, we don't know for sure what our net increase is going to be, because those of you that are on Medicare, your Medicare Part B premium, it comes out of your Social Security check. All right. So let's say we get this increase. We are anticipating that there's going to be an increase to Part B. Again, when they put the report out in March, they anticipated that to be about $10. Okay, but just a couple months ago, that Alzheimer medication was approved to be paid by Medicare, and so they think they're going to add another $5 to be able to cover that medication. So you can see right now we're at $164.90 on the Medicare Part B premium. And by the way, if you're high income, single above $97,000 or couple above $194,000, you actually pay more than that because you have what is called an IRMA, income-related monthly adjusted amounts. So 90% of all people just pay the base, but high income pay more. But my point is, we have $164.90. So if we see that go up $15, we're looking at about $179.90 for the projection on the Medicare Part B. And so again, that $15, if our Part B goes up, we're not going to be able to see all that in our check, but we'll certainly see the majority of it. All right. And so that's what we're anticipating. And again, in a month, once I know those numbers, we'll do another video and we'll talk about what those actual increases are going to be.